Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the latest UBS Global Wealth Report for 2025. Our mission really is to track who's getting richer, where that money is piling up, and where it's headed next. So let's kick off with the headline number. Global personal wealth actually grew 4.6% in 2024. That's a solid recovery after that dip we saw back in 2022.
Yeah, a recovery, but it's really important to stress how uneven that was. I mean, sure, North America, Eastern Europe saw gains,
Right.
but places like Oceania, Western Europe, Latin America, their wealth actually fell once you account for inflation and exchange rates.
Fell in real terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So citizens there, their actual purchasing power, their asset values went down. The gains were really, really concentrated.
Okay, let's unpack that concentration because it sounds pretty stark.
Oh, it is. Look at the U.S. and mainland China. Between them, they hold more than half of all personal wealth on the planet.
Over half. Wow.
Yeah, the U.S. is sitting at around 35% of the global total. China's getting close to 20%.
Which means, I guess, that what happens policy-wise in Washington or Beijing,
Yeah,
it has these huge ripple effects globally.
absolutely huge. Instant outsized impacts on markets everywhere. Now, they dominate the total amount, that's clear. But if you look at the rate of growth in 2024, the real star was actually Eastern Europe. Personal wealth there jumped over 12%.
12%, that's significant growth.
It is. But despite these, regional hotspots, the forecast seems pretty clear. It's still North America and Greater China that are expected to be the main engines for wealth growth through 2029 anyway.
So the big players stay the big players, broadly speaking. But it sounds like there's also a shift happening within these wealthy areas. You mentioned something. The report talks about this everyday millionaire, EMLI.
Yes, the EMILLI, EMILLI, stands for Everyday Millionaire. And the report really flags this group as a key structural force.
Okay, define that for us. Who are these people?
Well, typically, they're individuals with assets between, say, 1 million and 5 million US dollars. Often successful professionals, maybe small business owners, people who've done well with property.
Not necessarily billionaires, but comfortably millionaires.
Exactly. And the scale here is what's fascinating. The number of these EMILLIs, it's quadrupled since the year 2000.
Quadrupled.
Yeah. We're talking about 52 million people globally now. And together, they control almost $107 trillion in assets.
107 trillion, that's a lot of capital.
It is. And for you listening, this rise of the EMILLI means the whole investment landscape is shifting. They want different things than, say, old inherited wealth, drives innovation in banking, asset management, you name it.
And the U.S. seems to be leading the charge in creating these new millionaires.
Very much so. Globally, about 680,000 new millionaires emerged in 2024. The U.S. responsible for adding over 1,000 new millionaires every single day.
1,000 a day, that's hard to get your head around. Is that mostly tech money, property booms, or?
The report suggests it's a bit of a mix, but yeah, asset price appreciation, especially housing, stocks, it's been the main rocket fuel for this EMILLI class recently.
Okay, so you have this growing class fueled by asset growth, which kind of leads us to the next big thing the report highlights, this massive wealth transfer that's coming.
Oh, the great wealth transfer. Yes.
Yeah.
The numbers are just astronomical. We're looking at USD 83 trillion set to change hands over the next 25 years.
It's 83 trillion.
Yep. About $74 trillion of that is moving between generations, parents to kids, grandparents to grandkids. Another $9 trillion or so moves more horizontally, mostly between spouses.
How do you even put 83 trillion in perspective?
Well, think about Germany's entire annual economic output, its GDP. This transfer is roughly 3 times that amount, just moving between people over the next couple of decades.
Wow. And the U.S. gets the biggest piece of that pie.
By far. Over $29 trillion of that transfer is expected just within the United States. And there's a really critical angle here. Women, through inheritance, through spousal transfers, and also through their own entrepreneurship, women are set to control a significantly larger share of wealth. It's potentially one of the biggest economic shifts based on gender we'll see this century.
That's a huge societal shift baked into those numbers, which inevitably brings up the question of inequality, doesn't it?
It does. And the picture there is, well, it's a bit mixed, a paradox almost.
How so?
Well, the report found that over the last 5 years, inequality actually widened in 29 countries. But interestingly, it narrowed in 26 others.
Including the UK and US.
Including the UK and the US, yes.
Good.
So you have these localized trends where the gap might be closing slightly, maybe due to tax policy or specific wage growth, but the big overarching headline hasn't really changed. The top 1% globally. They still own almost half of all the world's assets, 40-something%.
Almost half. So despite some local narrowing, the global concentration at the very top remains immense.
It's the fundamental reality, yes.
Yes.
That concentration is still defining the global economic system.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the takeaway? The world's getting richer overall, but unevenly. We've got this booming everyday millionaire class changing markets, and this historic wealth transfer is starting, shifting trillions between generations and genders.
That sums it up pretty well. Richer world, growing a milli class, massive wealth shifts underway.
Right. So here's a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. The report really highlights this growing gap, this divergence between wealth and income. Asset prices, capital gains, they're racing ahead, decoupling from wage growth for many people.
The asset economy versus the wage economy.
Exactly. So what happens? What are the consequences socially, politically, when the world gets richer on paper through assets that mostly benefit those who already own them, while wages for lots of ordinary working people kind of stagnate, especially when governments are also facing tight budgets? That feels like the core tension, doesn't it, for the next decade or so?